Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Wait,
you okay?
shouldn't we be safe and sanitize our hands first?
Yo,
Sanitize.
yo, this is mass sanitization.
All right. Where hands are. All right. Are we ready to start? The date is June 13th, 8:08 in the morning. It's a Saturday, not a Sunday. We're ahead one day. And this is The Board State. The Board State is a weekly podcast where we review gaming for social good with a spotlight on the indie scene. My name is Jeffrey Vieira, aka Mr. V, and I am joined with
Jack.
What's going on?
Question.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Jack is noting on we forgot to pick a question for today. Actually, we could just crank open an email in that section. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
Do we have? Well, you know what? We may actually have some.
So
we'll cross that river when we get there. So where can they send their questions, comments, concerns, and poetry to us, Jack? Emphasis poetry.
So at boardstate@gmail.com or theorycrafterschemes@gmail.com.
Yes. How has your week been, Jack?
Tense for the last couple. Actually, for the last couple weeks, tense.
Let's just do one little plug. Just one little plug. We've got a bunch of other games that are brewing and, that are in the pot that are ready to be served to the masses. Well, let's go into this ARG game that you're working on.
Yeah, so basically, we're right now working on the ARG, and it will be.
Is that okay to talk about it?
Yes.
Okay. Just a little bit, not the start date, not the theme, none of that, just the concept.
So basically, the concept of it is to help out with this charity organization and to bring the community together in these difficult times. Mm-hmm. And so, like any ARG, there's a mystery that you're gonna need to be solving. And it took us a couple weeks to get that mystery unpacked, but now we have it at a state where it should be ready to come out.
Yes. All right. Cool. Thank you for that. So stay tuned. More information coming up about that. Mm-hmm. All right. The first article today is going to be, so we're doing 5 articles again today. We're going to stick with that format for a while and see what that feels like. And eventually, when I get around to it, I will add some cool video effects and maybe our faces and stuff in the cast itself. Yeah. Maybe not exactly. All right, so the first article is by the New York Times, and it is, why do people love games? The game maker for the New York Times, yes, there's a game maker, explains. Jack, what are your thoughts on this article?
It honestly, for me, it showcases a lot of the history elements that I personally love. For example, like the Tuskegee Airmen, the Japanese culture, a lot of these elements that I always take a liking to on my spare time, not going into game development, is being showcased here. And that's probably one thing I want to know from this article. It's not only focusing on one particular race or one particular method of gaming. It's focusing on gaming entirety as a whole. Whether it comes from Japan or from Africa or even from Europe, it showcases all of these ideas and concepts in an equal form. And not be as like a bias, like how you will see in other articles currently right now, talking not to pick any names.
Yes. Let's not point the finger at any of them.
Not yet. But anyways, it's just one of these things where I really encourage people to look up because we often have Game Sutra as our main oracle of this channel. Well, this is the Game Sutra oracle as of right now.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I really like this article a lot. This article gives us supporting evidence that essentially games matter and have always mattered. The article gives a great deal of historical and contemporary evidence supporting that claim, right? As you
Hmm.
scroll through the article, you can see there's these historical to contemporary images of gaming from a 1870 Go game that's being played by monks, and then there's some further back historical facts about Greek mythology,
Hmm.
playing games and things like that. Um, but moreover, that games are not just a pastime form of entertainment,
Right.
but also serve as a model to real world systems. And that's really where we operate in, right? We try to mimic um, games like protesting or
Hmm.
themes and subjects like protesting, strife in the community, distress in the community, and we gamify them. We gamify them not to not to oversimplify them, but also but really to get an understanding of what's happening, and then how we can solve these crises in that kind of
Hmm.
same simulation. So yeah, man. I mean, this is an article to bookmark. This is an article to send to your friends that are like, oh yeah, and not to pick on our buddy, but oh yeah, I played Uno this weekend.
So,
Like this. Oh,
hmm
good. Yes.
so do want to point out, one of the pictures has Donkey Kong, and above it has Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back.
Mhm.
So, before all of these movie deals and all of these like actors came to gaming, it was actually Star Wars who led the charge and who basically did the first ever game developable studio to a triple A level. So, yeah, guys, shout out to Star Wars, of course, because I'm still a Star Wars fan, even though I
I am
shouldn't.
I'm very happy for you. I'm happy. All right. So that is by the New York Times. Why do people love games? All the links will be in the show notes so that you can click on them and read the article at depth. Next article is going to be, Jack, can we get some angelic music, please? How Earthbound changed what role-playing games could mean. Look, I got chicken skin again, man. We're reviewing these articles briefly before the show, and I had chicken skin then. I got chicken skin again. This game means so much to me, man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have you start talking about this, and then I need you to get an alarm clock so that when I start talking, you time me because I can go on and on and on and on and on about this. What does this article mean to you, Jack?
Okay, honestly, it represents basically the latter part of gaming for me, because a lot of the game developers had a fond memory of Earthbound, and in particular, not just the system, but the stories that it came out. And so the games like Bendy and the Ink Machine and Undertale that I fondly play and will still play religiously, I will die by the sword saying that it's a
Oh,
great game and I will no one
what
should
what
question
game
me
was
for
that?
it.
What game was that? I missed what game that was.
Oh, Undertale?
Undertale. Ah, I don't think
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
ever mentioned that game before on the
Yeah,
cast.
yeah, yeah. I don't think so too. And
And
then
rightly so.
like because it's like the theories of the and many game developers will showcase like their love through Easter eggs. But these newer game developers are showcasing their love by almost trying to make a suggestion that, oh, like this could be science. I'm making poking fun at that. As much as it's like a sort of theory now, it's like you gotta admit those elements was there and all these ideals and concepts that Earthbound started was only enhanced by games such as Undertale. And I do have to say, I'm gonna say this. I have never played Earthbound before, but
Okay.
I do know that its reputation in the industry is honestly will continue to go over time as more people starts to play newer games and more devs gets into the industry. They will be looking to games of the past more and more to understand how they were successful at it.
Okay. All right, Earthbound. I think really, if I could just extract one quote that really summarizes this whole article to me, is that so there's this Brian Eno quote
Mm-hmm.
that so Brian Eno, if you're not familiar with his work, he's this amazing minimalist um, musical artist. I that's my favorite genre is minimal electronic music, and he's a minimal electronic music musician. The quote is the cultural impact of the Mother series, which is Earthbound. Japanese version is Mother. The cultural impact of the Mother series is sort of like the famous Brian Eno quote about the Velvet Underground. Their first album only sold 30,000 copies, but every single person who bought it started a band. So this is again chicken skin in the back of my neck and my arms in this game. It's just so emotional. Um, is this is a game where you play much like Freedom and Freeze on the board game side of things, where you play this game and you're like, you know what, I want to make a video game now, and that's really what Earthbound means to me. Earthbound is made by Shigesato Itoe, who's like this. He's like the most unlikely person to make a game. Like he's like this professional fisherman, like writer, musician, like just pure visionary that created a game about. I mean, it's really like it's really almost like this weird esoteric Goonies almost, where these kids go on this adventure that is led by Ninten, which I think he becomes Ness in the American version, which you can see in Smash Brothers.
Yes, yes.
But he's a 12-year-old boy with asthma who lives in the town of Mother's Day. That's where the name Mother comes from. And after a bizarre psychic attack, his father tells him that the Earth is in danger and dispatches the tween to find eight melodies to stave off the alien invasion. Like that's the theme of the game, right?
Yeah,
And when this game came out, in fact, when he pitched the game, even to Shigeru Miyamoto, who we all know, of course, he made basically everything that Nintendo has. Kind of, and Shigeru is kind of he's kind of a eccentric as well. He plays the guitar a lot. He's just this,
mm-hmm.
he has a different way of viewing the world. He kind of shot down the idea from my research that I from what I can remember. Like he was kind of like, yeah, that's a little bit too weird. But I don't know, some internal discussions happened at Nintendo, and they decided to give it a chance. Japan side, like in Japan, not in America. Then eventually the game was released here, and yeah, and at the time, so you got a place. All right, this is where we have, the beginnings of the Final Fantasy series, Super Mario, like all those big name Nintendo hits, right? And then you got this weird little indie game. I mean, it's not an indie game, but almost like this, like they don't know where to kind of place it, amongst the Nintendo canon. So it just kind of existed in this weird space. And because of that, there was this cult following that was brewing from that time, which still exists today, and directly influenced games like Undertale, like hands down. Like Undertale is like the Calabash brother of Mother.
I would say these two things too,
Mm-hmm.
is that you could make the exact same mechanics to a game. For example, like how you mentioned in Earthbound or Mother, you have to find 8 MacGuffins, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Zelda, you need to find 8 to 7 MacGuffins to stop Ganondorf. But the
Hmm.
difference is thematically. If you
Yes,
could fit
yes,
your
yes.
thematics into your audience, no matter how
Bam.
similar it feels, it will make them feel like they were part of this world and they really are making a difference.
Yep. Yes, 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 yes. That's really it. I mean, mechanics is, it's okay, but I mean, you
But
see these similar mechanics in other games. It's really the theme that drives Earthbound home. Like, what are you doing? Who are you playing? What is happening to the world? Um, yeah, okay. I'm gonna
And
back off
the
here.
other thing is that
Yes.
we probably will see more games, for example, like new devs coming into Bethesda, new devs coming into Activision, and showcasing their love for Earthbound into more AAA titles instead of indie titles as the years go by. Because only with progression, Earthbound becomes more and more successful. Even though it wasn't a hit at the start
Mhm.
and it had a cult following, it became this now a hit or legend to the levels due to all of these new devs coming in. So yeah.
So just one more thing to add, because I don't want to spend too much time on this article, although we could, is so step away from the game itself. When you are designing a game, this, in my opinion, is the framework that you want to be operating in, not really looking at the existing landscape of what you want to mimic or copy or build from, but really look at things that interest you specifically. I would imagine that a lot of, and I would love to talk to this guy. Actually, he still has a website that he's been posting from like 1998 or something to now. I went on it. In fact, oh, it's in the article, and he's just been he's still making stuff, man. It's so amazing. But really, as you can see, the impact that this game has had, like you could name 10 to 20 to maybe even 100 games right now that are existent that have a very similar kind of vibe and feel of Earthbound, right?
Hey,
And now this is really really common. Like games like this, there's a bazillion indie games that are very similar to this type of theme, right? This not sword and board or gun and bullet or go save the princess type of framework. There's this, and we're going to get into an article. I think it's our second to the last article that really touches on this more, so
hey,
I won't go more into that. But when you're designing a game, design for impact, and that's something that we try and do, right, Jack? Like we try to create games um, that fit it, not just a niche, but will also have a legacy because it's just
right.
so out there that oftentimes the current gaming landscape, some people can get it, some people might not get it, but that's fine with us because in the long term, right, it'll have
hmm
more following and influence others to make games.
I also say that this is the perfect method to actually adopt if you want to make a political game, like a political message game, because Earthbound's theme is very like covertly but still political heavy. Like it's talking
Mm,
about basically nature and what will happen if we explore it too much,
hmm.
but in a covert form to re
Yep.
sell the ideals to the audience. So if you really want to like talk about like politics or stuff like that, it will be to like letting the audience understand both parties, like how Earthbound does, and also
Yep.
allowing the audience to basically either be the true hero or be the true villain, giving the players all their choices to them to their extent.
Hmm. Yep. All right. So that is how Earthbound changed what role-playing games could mean, aka Earthbound is the Twin Peaks of role-playing games, by
I
PCMag.com.
I will actually argue D&D is the Twin Peaks.
What? Have you seen Twin Peaks?
Wait,
Twin Peaks. David Lynch's Twin Peaks. The
Oh,
bizarre,
okay.
esoteric, cultish, Fire Walk with Me. Yeah.
I thought you meant something else.
Okay. No worries. All right. So moving on to the next article. Again, New York Times hitting it on our cast this week, and this is a article by Jack found, and this is a government in Japan limited video game time. This boy is fighting back. What is this article about, Jack?
So it's really giving up to the interpretation. How much control should the government have in the gaming industry, and also how much time should we allow players to have as a whole, whether that be ball gaming, video gaming, ARGs. How much time do we want to give to players, or even IRL? How much do we want to give so that way they will take time out of their lives? So Japan, though it's a strict society, is trying their best to understand this complex media. And it really is a complex media in their country because so many of their population actually goes into gaming or of some kind, whether that be helping out with Nintendo, Sony, or whether that be going into IT development and going into technologies, helping expanding the methods of video game and also digital media content in general, or by going into esports. And in this case, has to do with esports a lot more than a lot of people realize. Because though this city in Japan only focusing on gamer kids, it will affect the upcoming esports players in that city or province, due to the fact that a lot of esports players started when they're young, not when they're 60s or 50s, but literally when how this kid is 13. This is the pinnacle time for a lot of them to go up and realize their potential.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is going to have a major impact whether the province will like it or not, because a lot more province, states, and even national governments will be taking a look at this and trying to weigh in. Should they follow this route, or should they take a less extreme route or more extreme route? So this is going to be a case study to look up in future if you're gonna be like a game developer, but especially if you're gonna try and go into the esports industry of some kind.
Yeah, I think the idea of gaming as a waste of time that is slowly shifting, right? I mean, it's something that that Asia kind of knew for a while now, and U.S. we're catching up now that it's not just a passive form of entertainment. But that being said, there is some healthy boundaries to create. So these are some things that South Korea was doing by creating these limitations, and I believe several years ago they introduced some latency or lag in their internet at certain times to get their kids or adults or whoever just to stop playing games late at night because there was cases where kids were getting strokes, right? Because they were playing for days and days and days on end. So I completely agree. Like this is an interesting subject and topic, but like everything else, you eat one cheeseburger, not that much of a problem. You eat 1,000 cheeseburgers, very big problem. Right? There's these healthy boundaries that, or even reading, right? Like I read one book, it's fantastic, but then if I neglect my kids or don't go to work because I'm reading all day, not a good thing. So I think healthy boundaries are very important.
And it's not like we're trying to disprove. So this kid side is actually making valid points. It's like, why should the government control my life? My parents should, not them, or basically my mentors should, not them.
Yeah.
And so I really respect this kid because it really showcased like basically even though the government's action is commended and is seen
Mhm.
as like a benefit, there is always there's always a give basically.
Mhm.
By the government doing that, it realizes that they cannot trust self guidance or self
Mhm.
determination to stop that. But at the same token, it seems like, okay, when do we trust them to be able to self regulate or be able to self guide on themselves?
Yep. All
So
right. That's.
yeah.
Oh, good. Yep.
No, I just say so yeah.
Okay. Great article, Jack. Also, like really kind of well rounds our article base today. So that was a really good find. Something very very different. I really appreciate that. And that is by the New York Times. A government in Japan limited video game time. This boy is fighting back. All right, here we go. Next article by Mashable.com, and the title is a little bit clickbaity, but stick with us. And it is Why Feminine Design is the Next Frontier to a More Gender Inclusive Video Games. Your thoughts on this article, Jack?
So okay, let me explain this right now, and let me quickly hit this out of the way.
Okay.
Yes, Mashable it likes to do more clickbaiting articles and topics, unless this has a clickbaiting title. But the article itself is the key point. It has a lot of key information that a lot of game developers and gamers should take note of.
Yeah. I mean, even
Especially,
this image, sorry to interrupt, but even like the hero image, which is Boyfriend Dungeon, cool game,
like,
whatever. But the subtitle is Who doesn't want to hook up with their weapon? Like, really? Come on, guys.
so it kind of. I mean, technically, I
No,
would
because it's such a profound researched, and there's so much content to unpack from this article that you could immediately dismiss all of that
yeah,
by the name of the article and this leading image. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry. Please go on.
yeah. So like we said, try to shelter your eyes from these two first
Scroll
things,
down.
because
Scroll down.
no, or even the first paragraph. Once you get there, the actual article starts. So
Yeah.
like, think of the clickbait title and the picture in front of like at the first ones basically as advertisement. They pop out ads and stuff like that to just avoid, because it's not that really good. But it also talks about mainly female game design in general, and also how creative their attributes come from. For example, I didn't really realize that Celebi was actually like a pseudo ARG, but also like a mystery similar to Until Dawn, a game in which I was very interested in. And so now seeing this on Steam, I'm now interested in playing this even more. But it's just showcasing all of the potential ideals well females could bring to the gaming industry as a whole. The, and yes, it is pro feminine, but it's also showcasing more of the ideals that are seen as untapped potential. So like an indie game developer could really see this article as more as a potential piece and giving them more ideas than and more gas in the engine than just a B-rate article. But yeah.
Okay. Here we go. So there's a lot to unpack from this article. A great deal to there's a lot of content. It's all really really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna just quote some of the things that stood out to me directly, because I didn't want to rephrase them into my own words. I don't want anything to be lost in translation. And then I'm going to go into like my thoughts on that. So, right from the article, and I quote, and generally speaking, masculinity has defined design in the mainstream and hardcore games, while femininity has been sequestered to games labeled as a more niche or casual, though there are obvious exceptions. More and more, creators are challenging the gendered assumptions of traditional design loops to deliver experiences that defy gendered games and ultimately invite more people to play. To be clear, what we're advocating for isn't a wholesale shift from masculine to feminine game design. I think this is very important. We're not suggesting that there's a dichotomy in design approaches defined by strict gender stereotypes in opposition to each other. That's not what that headline is saying. Okay, the article continues. But here's the thing, not everyone responds in the same way to stress-fueled fight or flight triggers. About half the people are more inclined to have different responses to stress, and then to what's called the tend to befriend response. So this tend to befriend response, I'm going to go into my words here. The tend to befriend response was coined by a UCLA neuroscience study. And what it is basically the desire to connect, care, and to find solutions that work for everyone. Okay. If you doubt whether or not you've been to that kind of thing, ask yourself why so many people are playing a bazillion hours of Animal Crossing and taking care of their villagers and things like that. Ultimately, it's the difference between design that targets a player's instinct towards fear versus compassion. I think that's really, really powerful. Neither is inherently better or worse, but both are essentially to express a fuller scope of human experience. So there's this model that a lot of games, I mean, it's just a very, very easy model. It happens in film as well, and as in video games. And it is, what do they cite it as? Hard stress. A hard stress type of gaming model, or fight or flight, where there is this objective that presents itself, and the way to defeat that objective is to shoot it, attack it, go level up, get stronger, and then come back and defeat it through skill and tact and whatnot. Again, that is a model that, and I'm not saying that's like obsolete or not good or not fun. Obviously, there's people that love that model, okay? What I am saying is that there's too much of that model in video games, which I can see the shift is definitely beginning to happen, especially in the indie scene and now in AAA titles as well, where they're adopting things like this. They tend to befriend. So in that same scenario where there is this giant cyclopean monolithic monster, with, bloodied hands that just ravaged a village and ate all the young and left their parents behind to be in distress and to moan over their lost children, to pick up the pieces of their kids and bury them. You find this monster and you have no weapons, but you have to deal with this monster somehow. So maybe you run away. This monster, follows you through a forest. It gets tired, right? And kind of falls down. And then you sit next to this monster and through a series of dialogues begin to analyze what's happening with this monster. What happened to this monster? Oh, you find out that, this monster has psychological trauma, or whatever. You start to diagnose. And then this monster becomes a friend of yours, goes back to the village and becomes a servant / ally to the village that ate all their children. Something like that. Obviously, I don't know how this would fly in the face of many players, but that's the idea, right? The idea is that, the eye for an eye model, I don't know if that's a really good idea, right? It's like, I burn your village, you come burn my village. I look for another village to burn, then you come back and burn another, just goes back and forth. Like, how do we, beyond gaming, as a society, find the fire hose to quench this type of hard stress issue?
You good?
Yes. So yeah, and that's really the essence of what this article is all about. It's not pushing a female agenda or feminine agenda. It's really looking at an alternative to that fight and flight game design model. which I love.
And it's also bringing back to other games that we mentioned earlier on this podcast and also on
Gosh,
earlier
thank you.
episodes. For example, Undertale, Earthbound. These
Yeah.
games in which they flip the fight and fight example on its head. Well, it's a negative to actually fight, or it's seen as a unwelcoming trait, such as in Undertale, to a point where the the worst boss you could ever face is actually going down that bad ending.
Yes, yes. So thank you for mentioning it, Jack. That's really important. There is, if if anything else, you don't want to read through this article, sure, I get it. There's a lot of content here. Just scroll through and check out the awesome indexes of games in this article,
Mm-hmm.
and just pick that out and experience alternative games like this. Different. I mean, there's Sign of Hearts, and I mean, just tons of stuff. Please check this out.
And if you check it out, even if you don't like the game in general, but like the mechanics of the game, nobody's saying you shouldn't take it or use it for your own good. There is certain ideas and concepts that needs to be shown more. We don't need a first-person shooter every day. We need to find other options, and by playing other options, we are exposed to more options.
Yes, yes, like real life.
Yeah.
Okay, that is by themashable.com,
I think
and
that was the
the
longest
article.
we took, time-wise.
Okay. And why feminine design is the next frontier to more gender-inclusive video games. Okay. Next article. Is this our? Was that 5?
Yeah.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
This is our last article for the day, and this is an article found by Jack. And I'm sure if you're a listener of this podcast, you already are well familiar of this article or this initiative that's being shared across the internet right now. Jack, can you speak to what this article is?
so the weekly rerun of June 12, 2020
I'm gonna
is
go look
basically
for a question.
it's
Sorry.
basically just like how we describe a rerun will be a recap of life events and whatnot. But this weekend rerun is notable to me because it showcased as the major pieces of the weekly was not politics, was not adventures or scientific marvels. It was gaming. In particular, two notable differences to how people will remember this this week. But it will be showcasing the strengths of gaming as a whole. So the first one, which is the second piece, is called Gamers Taking Up the Sword. And if you have heard of it, then you probably know where this is going down. If you have not, just know that on this podcast we try to stray not too much Republican nor Democrat to give you just an honest opinion of what is actually going down. And so this one is basically showcasing gamers inspiring from recent events and trying to change said recent events in a most fun and proactive way possible, which is basically giving people that donate a minimum of $5 to these organizations that they feel that they need the support of, and giving them access to what 1,005 games, 1,500 games,
and good games, like good games.
And these devs, though they may have different politics, like some of them may be pro-Republican, some of them may be pro-Democratic, they all realized a need and they all are willing to give their games out. Games that usually cost $20 to $30 on its own right. And it's basically giving them out all for free for just a casual donation. As a gamer, this is a pretty good deal. I don't care how your political spectrum is. You want these games, this is the best way to get them. Even if you just want one, you will be saving $30 and then also $120 for potential games that you may not have realized but now get to play.
Yeah, and there's game design stuff too.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course I backed this, or
So,
backed, I
but
pledged as well. So there is TTRPG Design Lens, a deck of design lenses for designing and playtesting TTRPGs or the physical games.
I I will say this. One thing that is super powerful is not really the organization, but just like the artwork. Because even though like you may say, oh, the idea is so powerful, I will argue the artwork is because different games will tell different stories, and this thing will allow you to see all of those stories, all of the individual libraries that they have, and basically this is basically a national library level because each art piece could showcase like humongous amounts of potential and even adding into content. You could contact these game developers if you're a game developer yourself and be like, oh, could I help you out? Or, oh, could I expand upon this? Or even if you're a writer, you could see certain elements and be like, oh, how did that got there? Oh, could I write about that? Different games will showcase this, and this will allow you to not only get the games but also see like all of these arts that the fandom that each game has that came up. For example, the one that they have to demonstrate this is very well like I'm seeing. So I'm gonna describe the picture. If you don't go on the article, which you should, just for this picture alone, it's basically think of Titanfall and Apex, but in a more grounded setting, like a farm or a rural setting, and that's basically what you get to see. And this is for free, man. You could screenshot this and be like, "Oh yeah, this is some awesome artwork, eh?" But yeah,
This is
oh
such a good deal, man. There's like Blender assets in here, like
yeah,
game design stuff, and then
I
just tons of. But I mean, so not just what you're getting, but I mean what you're supporting also, right? And they're asking for $5.
right.
Come on.
And so they even if you're not a gamer, the potential content you're getting is so exponential. As a film director, I'm seeing those Blender assets as hundreds of hours of time I do not have to be spent doing Blender.
Mhm.
So which is awesome because if you ever experience Blender, you know how difficult it could be at some phases. But it's
I am
just
just lost in here. There's so much good stuff. This is like slightly overwhelming.
okay. But the second gaming article is most notable if you have heard of it. It's basically the PS5 came out. But I want to showcase rather than all the specs or stuff, but mainly the games that came out with the presentation and also the presentation itself. Because a lot of people is criticizing Xbox for not having a presentation, right? So what the PS5 did and what the Xbox Series X did for
Wait,
their
what? Another article?
no, in this article. So Cause there's two gaming consoles. The first one was Gamers Take Up the Sword. If you scroll down, a bit down,
Oh,
it's
gotcha.
that's it.
Okay, gotcha.
And so I wanted to tackle this also because it showcased, yeah, indies are doing something, but also triple A's are doing something. But in this case, it's showcasing what the triple A's are doing when going up against each other. And so, if anybody wants to work in a AAA industry or even work on presentations in a digital format, I will highly recommend you watch the Xbox conference and the PlayStation conference side by side. And that will give you a good comparison on what not to do and what to do. Because a lot more people were blown away by the PlayStation conference because they set expectations to a low bar. While the Xbox conference, you had them helping it up to something that they probably couldn't have done due to the time frame they were in. And so it's just these two clashing of ideas, but also showcasing newer games and new concepts that Triple A's are trying to develop even more, coming back to their roots, which is basically Ratchet and Clank and Oddworld, games that will be considered as like odd or weird or not really the general consensus. And in fact, the PlayStation conference for the first time in probably a couple years did not have anything about one of their big sales, which is Call of Duty. It was mainly about these other games that's coming out, not just Resident Evil and Hitman, but also Goodbye Volcano High and Little Devil Inside, in which Level Devil Inside almost convinced me as a Xbox fanboy to want to pre-order the PlayStation 5. So, I mean, like, these types of games are appealing to you have your sports from the Gran Turismo and NBA, and then you have your indie devs being represented equally. So yeah, it's showcasing not only the route the Triple A's are gonna take, but also what gaming will eventually will take as like a more rounded community, not just focused on money hogging, but also gaming in general. You okay, Mr. V?
Yeah, I am just blown away by this bundle, like just all the stuff in there.
We're going back to Vanda.
Some really well. Yeah, I don't have anything to say about the PS5 or Xbox.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, sure, whatever. I mean, they did a Big Bang Media Blast social event. I mean, hooray! But going back to this, there is a plethora. I mean, like just there is a D&D automation 5th edition background creator. So like this, it's like the D&D butler or something. So he automates and creates like background stories for your characters, just stuff like that. Like just really weird, out there, strange indie games that I love. Yeah, butler passing robot. Like a game called The Procession. Every year, the citizens of Edmund Valley are witness to the procession, a march of fantastic and monstrous beings that pass through the town. As they do, they perform miracles. Discover the miracles of the procession and decide how they change your version of Edmund Valley. So this is based on a game that I love called The Quiet Year. I think we played it in class a couple years ago, where we each develop like this town by like passing a pen around and like, oh, this is where so and so lives, this is where so and so lives, and vice versa. Anyway, man, so cool, so cool. This is a really good find for a really good cause.
And it's also, but just going back to the article, though you don't like PS5 or like what the
What are you talking
Triple
about?
A's are doing, you got okay. Well, you gotta miss just well for gaming to be showcased twice in such a manner. It's basically big, no matter what you say.
So no, so here's the thing. Why are AAAs interested in these type of games now? Because they're losing money to indie games.
Right.
So they're changing their entire strategy, in my opinion, to try to adopt. I mean, but I think in the end, you know, they can never compete in that space because of bureaucratic reasons. The only way they could do that is to segment their company into small, agile teams and then build in these little kind of silos. Yeah, I mean, it's I'm gonna buy. Well, I probably won't buy the Xbox because I don't like anything Xbox makes. But I will get the PS5. Of course I am. I mean, I'm gonna get it, but I'm just not that excited about it.
Right.
I mean, it's cool. You know, new games. There's some really cool games coming out, but yeah, I just personally am not too. I mean, I'm excited to buy it and, you know, see like how pretty and how cool these new. I mean, it's the next step, right? We really have a new console in, I don't know, a decade or something like that, probably more. been 10 years. So it's cool from a technological standpoint to see where we're going. But yeah, I mean, I'm just not too excited about it.
Well, I'm just making reference to the fact that they could have replaced that stuff with other news that came out, for example, like the protests or even like the pandemic, that being like feels of that, but instead they chose the PS5 coming out.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's almost like it's an ad, right? Like towards the bottom, like because like this whole article is like kind of focused on, you know, yeah, like you're saying, like gamers take up the sword, and then like all of a sudden, like on the bottom, there's like, you know, you click on this to see the future of gaming, like, huh? Because even before that, right there, they're talking about, you know,
Well,
the price point. So it's almost like it's like an advertisement that's like
yeah,
embedded in this. I mean, yeah.
yeah, take it what you will. I see it as a win.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Okay. So I have one. Okay, I have one question. We normally roll on this, so we have three questions actually, which is kind of cool.
Oh, then
Um,
we could roll treat
no,
that
we're
is.
not. We're not. I'm picking it. Because I was like I accidentally clicked on the first question when going into the email, and I was like, this is perfect. Okay. So the question is by PPOT Peapot.
Very
Sure.
creative name.
Okay. Yeah, Peapot. And so it's a very there's a lot of things in this email. I mean, so there's a lot of like, thank you, very cool, blah blah blah. But essentially, what they're asking, I don't know if it's a male or female, so I'll say they're asking is, what is the most violent game that you've ever played and enjoyed?
Oh, sugar.
Mine is easy. I mean, come on, dude. It's my favorite game in the world.
You start then. You start.
Okay, so it's been a long time since I mentioned this game, whereas Jack always talks about Undertale. This, in the previous version of this podcast, where I used to do this with my friend John in Texas, every single cast I would rant about this game. Somehow it would creep up and I would talk about it again. It is my favorite game in the whole world. I could burn all the games I own and just play that game forever and ever and ever. The most memorable game experience you can ever play. I had friends that actually literally broke down in tears in joy. Like, tears were coming down their face when they were playing it. I will play this game any day of the week. I hope to be an old gray man and retired, and I can play this game daily. And that is the monumental, the best game, in my opinion, ever made, Kingdom Death Monster.
Oh yeah. That's a good one, but to me, honestly, it will have to be the original Star Wars Battlefront 2 campaign.
Wow.
So if you don't know about that game, it's basically not the 2017 version, but the 2004.
Yeah.
Well, for those who don't know, and so in this campaign, you actually play as the 504s, and more or less not really a trooper, but the entire 504s, and how their story comes in. So the reason why I say that was the most brutal, because you basically get to genocide people. Like once a certain point in the game, if I'm not gonna spoil it, but now you realize, oh crap, now I get to shoot people and like innocents, and the game tackles like all these ideas, like soldiering for a common good, but also like, what is a good? What is a terrorist? What is the line that people will cross to get their ideals intact, or should they cross it? So yeah.
Yeah. Was that still EA?
No. that was like from a different company. I forget who, but
LucasArts? Was it LucasArts?
yeah. It was
Still
from LucasArts.
LucasArts in those days, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was from LucasArts.
Cool. Yeah, I remember that, man. That's a good man. Stars was so good. Okay.
It's kind of well. Hey, at least the Last Jedi is the Fallen Order was good. No.
Okay.
No. Okay.
Okay. All right. That's going to wrap up our cast. Thank you for listening. Show notes are going to be down beneath in the description there, and I promise I will get this on podcasting medias ASAP.
Thank you for your time. I'm waiting. We've just been crowded with projects recently.
Yeah, to put it lightly. All right.